Mobile, Alabama, yesterday, Florida State's Christian Ponder hitting a high note heading into the NFL. Senior Bowl MVP, not a bad way to wrap up your college career. Ponder, of course, completing 7 of 13 passes for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hopefully we're seeing just a few weeks with him out, but of course it always takes time to get back into it. Now, who do you see as this year's Cinderella team?
You know, when you talk Cinderella, I like George Mason. 2006, they were unbelievable.
It's Friday, so it's time for this week's Pick 'em, joined by sports director Brad Dalton. And people are thinking college basketball, they think ACC basketball, and now you're up there with those legendary programs like Duke and UNC. What do you think that means to Florida State?
Well, it means that we're moving in the right direction, but we're not going to allow ourselves just to be satisfied with third place.
The Capital One Bowl kicking off between Alabama and Michigan State. Nick Saban taking on former assistant coach Mike D'Antonio today in Orlando. Jadeveon Clowney, #1 recruit in the nation. Of course, so much pressure put on him. Where's he going to go? What's he going to do? How much of that do you think really matters once they become a college athlete?
Not very much.
There is no statistic that says you make everyone around you better. And that's what that guy does. And that is the difference in leading a team in scoring and leading a team to a title. FSU's looking for that 5th win in a row, and Boston College is on their longest losing streak in 12 years. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think we both picked Florida State last week, and
right.
I think we were both a little bit pleasantly surprised by how much they won, by how good they look. Now they just have to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, there's so much hype surrounding top recruits in the nation, and of course we've just experienced National Signing Day. What is that pressure like as an 18-year-old determining where you're going to be for the next 4 years?
It's gotten much harder now because, you know, guys are saying, I like this coach, I like that coach, and you can show up and coach the league.
An unbelievable win for FSU last night over 2-seed Notre Dame, a Big East team that some actually had selected to win it all. You are the first Falcon fullback ever to make it to the Pro Bowl, and that, of course, was on Sunday. How does that feel? We're nearing the end of the countdown to kickoff as our Noles face South Carolina at the Chick-fil-A Bowl, but you may not know exactly how Florida State landed in Atlanta. After defeating ACC opponents early in the season, including Wake Forest, Miami, and Boston College, it looked as though Florida State was to control its own destiny at the Atlantic Coast Conference. Saturday, November 27th had all the makings of a storybook ending, but whether it was a fairy tale or a nightmare didn't all depend on Florida State. Super Bowl Sunday is February 6th, so I sat down with an expert to get his take on the biggest day in football. What is your favorite memory from one of your 3 trips to the big game?
Well, my favorite memory is Super Bowl 12.
In golf news, we'd like to congratulate sophomore Drew Matthews, who was selected as the Sun Conference Player of the Month for the month of March.
This is Kristen Ledlow reporting from the Sunscreen Film Festival here with the legendary John Travolta. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Now, you've obviously had a lot of great roles the last couple of years.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're here at the FSU basketball training facility, and joining me is the starting center, Sierra Brevard. So we're going to play a little round of horse, also called FSU. Free and done, but this segment's going to be going really fast. Hey, maybe not. At that. That's FSU, folks.
Kristen's a PT player. She's awesome, baby, with a capital A.
Hi, I'm Kristen Ledlow. Sports anchor Dave Griffith's out tonight on assignment. A lopsided first half score in tonight's NFL Pro Bowl. Of course, both teams playing without Super Bowl contenders. But you can see right here the NFC didn't need them. First half highlights NFL's comeback kid Mike Vick down the field right now to Roddy White. That pass ultimately leading to a drive into the end zone. The NFC up 7-0 early on. Shortly after, AFC with possession of the ball here, but a sloppy pass is tipped, leading to an interception by first-time Pro Bowler London Fletcher. And the highlights don't stop there. The NFC just dominating this game. Head to the locker room up 42-7 at the half. The AFC, of course, did take the field in the second half. Reggie Wayne and Phillip Rivers scoring to kick off an AFC comeback. However, too little, too late. The NFC All-Stars defeat the AFC 55-41. The Florida State women's basketball team on the road this weekend, taking on ACC opponent NC State this afternoon. And it was Hoops for Hope Day in North Carolina. NC State in pink uniforms and both teams in pink shoes. But don't let the pink fool you. The Lady Noles came out strong, scoring the first 10 points of the game. Unfortunately, the Noles watched a 15-point lead disappear coming out of the locker room in the second half. Bonet Holston leading that Wolfpack effort with a career-high 30 points and 10 rebounds. Watch her right here. Movement without the ball, impressive. Holston for another easy 2, but the final 4 minutes of the game were a different story as center Sierra Brevard came alive, scoring 8 of her 14 points in those final minutes to help lift the Noles to a 76-69 victory at NC State. FSU's Chastity Clayton led the Lady Noles with 16 points, and Natasha Howard added 10 points and 12 rebounds. And on the men's side, after taking down top-ranked Duke less than 3 weeks ago, the Noles hadn't seen a loss. And with wins over NC State, Miami, and Boston College, the Noles found themselves at the top of the ACC. That, of course, changed last night as FSU was dominated by the defense at Clemson. Noles highlights, unfortunately, few and far between, but here's Chris Singleton with the steal on the sloppy pass. Noles down just 6-4 at this point. Unfortunately, the Noles' inability to score on the stifling Clemson defense led to a gap in the score early and fast. That steal right there by Anderson and the Booker dunk put Clemson up 19-6 in the first half, and Tigers fans right there are loving it. Second half, not much better for the Noles as they never cut the lead by more than 8 points. No Seminole scored in the double digits, and leader Chris Singleton finished the game with just 8, which is nearly 7 fewer than his average. Noles go on to lose that game to the Tigers 62-44. And in Mobile, Alabama, yesterday, Florida State's Christian Ponder hitting a high note heading into the NFL. Senior Bowl MVP, not a bad way to wrap up your college career. Ponder, of course, completing 7 of 13 passes for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he did it with a little help here from a rival down south, Miami's Leonard Hankerson. Ponder to Hankerson in that first drive of the game, and later again to Hankerson with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, an 18-yard pass for the touchdown. Yesterday at the game, Ponder said, quote, "I thought I definitely ended on a good note, and hopefully my draft status has gone up a little bit." The final touchdown, also thrown by Ponder, came in the fourth quarter with just 3 minutes left on the clock, a 23-yard pass to TCU's Jeremy Curley. Ponder finishing the day with the win for the South and the MVP title. And just 3 weeks after playing in the U.S. All-American Army Bowl, Thomas County defensive lineman Ray Drew has made his college decision. Drew declared that he will attend the University of Georgia in the fall. Next up, he says he's going to be involved in trying to improve this Bulldog signing class any way he can. With several big in-state signings over the past 10 days, the class is already being called the Dream Team.
A dream is only a dream until you make it reality. I'm calling you out on this one. I hope you're not afraid to be thrown into the fire. I hope you're not afraid to be the one to make the change.
And finally, for those of you who have been waiting, baseball is back. The Florida State Seminoles took the field on Friday for their first official practice of the spring. Of course, plenty of excitement surrounding this team that went to the College World Series last season. And from the looks of it, they're ready to take another trip to Omaha.